All right, y'all. So shout out to Gil's Arenas for getting this interview set up. So Rich Paul finally speaks out. Post Luka and AD trade. One of the craziest moves that happened in this past NBA trade deadline. And the reason I think this is important is because for the casuals who don't know, AD, LeBron, they share the same agent, Rich Paul of Clutch Sports, and I guess this is important because it could sort of kind of, I guess, debunk this rumor going around that LeBron knew about the trade, that he orchestrated it, he signed off on it. Listen, man, we heard from many sides. We heard from LeBron. He said he didn't know. We heard from Nico. We heard from Rob Pelinka, Lakers GM. And yeah, man, and now we're actually hearing from Rich Paul on his reaction to the actual trade. So let's check it out. Shout out to Goods Arenas, by the way. Let's check it out. Full reaction right here.
Was this the craziest trade deadline that you've seen since you've been an agent?
Crazy as ever.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the busiest ones I've been a part of. And obviously, I had B.I. go to Toronto, De'Aaron go to San Antonio, Zach go to SAC, and obviously the biggest one was AD going to the Mavs. Look, I think for me, what I've started to realize is free agency is the new trade deadline, right? Because as you see teams in the summer have this money, they're not spending it. They're trading in players into their space, which is drying up the market. So now you have to start to reposition guys from a value perspective. Once they traded, their bird rights go with them. So because of the second apron is now starting to allow a different flexibility within the confinement of all the rules and restrictions. And so that's how I looked at it. In De'Aaron's case, he had spent 8 years in SAC. It's pretty good, but it was time for a change. And I personally wanted to place him next to Wemby to grow, right? And he thought that made a lot of sense too. It's his choice, but that's where he wanted to be. And I was blessed enough and able enough to make that happen, right? In B.I.'s case, he had a couple of different situations he could have went in. And, Toronto was more aggressive, and we was able to get his extension done.
What do y'all think about B.I. to Toronto? When I saw the news, I was like, okay. I mean, he gets, still gets his max money, but, I mean, does it really move the needle for Toronto? I don't know. We'll see.
Done right then and there, so he don't have to worry about the summer, right? In Zach's case, a freshness for him, but the Bulls are going in a different direction, and so it's a partnerial thing in most cases. 99.9% of the time, I'm going to know what's going on. The one time I didn't was the one time we all didn't, per se, know what was going on. It was a shock to everybody. Who was in it was a shock, right? I always knew the affinity that was had for AD.
And I also think that's what makes this trade like one of the biggest. Like the fact that Nico and Rob Pelinka made sure that nobody was involved. It was just them two, right? Obviously, upper management, of course. I'm pretty sure Jeannie knew about it, but nothing leaked, which gave the breaking news even more shock value, because when you see it on paper, it's like Luka, AD to the Mavericks, Luka to the Lakers. Like what? It just doesn't make sense. It's like fantasy world, literally.
From Nico's perspective, so the destination wasn't really a shock. The timing of it was a shock, and obviously who was involved was a shock. But you don't move mountains with everybody knowing. You can't. And so I'm glad I didn't know. And I'm glad that whoever else didn't know, because it probably wouldn't have happened if you did know. Because now you start to open up the opinions and the conversation.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I feel like if Rich Paul did know, I'm pretty sure if he knew beforehand, he'd probably try to make some type of like move to where obviously his client can ultimately decide where he wants to go, not the other way around. But then again, who knows what could have happened? But everything happened the way that it did, and it happened for a reason. And here we are.
Conversations and different cans of worms. And so you can't get those things done with people knowing. And everybody gonna have their there are issues about it. That's not my place. Only thing I can do is, whatever happens, guy get there. Okay, well, how do we make this situation the best we can make? Is how I look at it.
So you talk about the AD Luka trade going down. When Shams first breaks that news, everybody, me personally, I'm heavy on NBA Twitter. I'm like, oh, he got hacked. Like, there's
Well,
no
I
way.
knew
Everybody thought Shams got hacked. Man, that was crazy.
before that, but yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying a little bit before that. But when you heard it, I'm just gonna go back to you. When you heard it, you said it's a shock. So what's it like for you? Like, huh? Like, are you?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, you know, obviously anybody can be traded. There's only anybody can be traded. We see that, right?
We feel like there's only like 2 guys in the league now that
can't be based upon.
unless
Honestly, man, the only 2 guys, or my top 3, like untouchables, like truly untouchables, is obviously Wemby. Even after this Luka trade, I don't see any franchise, if they were ever to, Spurs in particular, just forget about every other franchise. Spurs is not trading Wemby, Jokic, and Giannis. Those are my top 3 untouchables. Everybody else is up for grabs.
I want to go.
Contractual, yeah, but even still, even if you have that, again, and somebody's is saying they want to trade you, even if you have that restriction, you still don't feel wanted at that point because they want to trade you. So it don't matter. You may not want to, may protect you from going somewhere you don't want to go, but in this case, you're still gonna be traded or you still feel unwanted. But yeah, look, it's business at the end of the day, and that's the contracts travel. So it ain't like you get traded and your contract start all over again. Your salary travel too. So
That's facts.
part of it.
Speaking of contracts, right? We was talking about this the other day. If you have that in your
Contract, yeah,
that clause,
yeah,
and you apply it, you waive it.
yeah,
That's what you have to do, right?
yeah.
Do you think that it should extend?
Oh, it should carry over with you?
Yeah, to the next
Once
team.
you waive it, just take Bradley Beal's situation. I don't want to speak on Take Bradley Beal's situation. He waived it to get out of Washington to go to Phoenix. It doesn't say trades, plural.
Right, yeah.
Right? Once you waive it, we in agreement, me and Rashad talk, like that should be it. Like you shouldn't get, like he was saying, like you don't get multiple mulligans. Like you get
Right.
you get
What y'all think? Kenya makes a good point. So what he's saying is, once you, like, hypothetically speaking, like I'm Bradley Beal, I'm on the Suns, they want to trade me. They find a deal that I'm willing to accept, right? Obviously, I have to waive my no trade clause for the deal to go through, but that doesn't necessarily mean the trade clause goes away. It will carry over to the next team. But what Kenyon is saying is, after you waive it, that's it. The no trade clause is done. So what do you guys think about that? Should a player, after waiving the no trade clause, keep it, retain it, or should it go away? Let me know what you guys think about that.
point.
Well, if I negotiate it, it should stay as long as you.
Until the
Rich Paul like, what? Nah.
wheels fall off. But I'm saying, you get my point?
Yeah, but yeah, I
Because
understand.
there's a clause in the contract that you put in there for specific reasons.
Listen, I understand exactly what you're saying. But what I was saying was, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. What I'm saying is, regardless what's there, once it's known that you're not wanted, it don't matter what's in your contract. You're going to feel a certain way. Now it's just about getting somewhere where I want to go. And there's 2 sides to every trade.
Yeah.
You got to be unwanted here, but wanted elsewhere. If you're unwanted here and unwanted everywhere else, then it don't matter anyway. And so
one man's trash is another man's treasure.
in most cases, but in some
Agreed.
cases, one man's trash is everybody's trash.
Trash is trash, right?
So again, it's just one of those situations where I think we all have to understand the business of basketball, which we don't, and everybody does not. The fan aspect of it is what it is what makes our game go. But like I said, the contracts travel. If you can get to a place where you want it, you make the best of that, and you produce to re-up again.
We talked about one of those guys. Let's talk about the other one of those guys. I'm talking about from the Lakers side now, getting Luka Doncic. revitalizing the squad. We're super happy to see that deal made. Obviously, we are a pro Lakers show. We're not traditional.
Well, hey, listen, I'm glad you didn't know about the trade, brother.
That's why you here.
You see, even Gil know, bro. Gil knows for a fact that if Rich Paul knew about this trade beforehand, Rich Paul would have done something. I don't know what he would have done, but he would definitely have done something to where this is probably not going to happen, or AD's going somewhere else, or maybe Luka isn't even going to the Lakers. I don't know. But nah, man, for real though, for real.
I'm glad you didn't know, goddammit.
Nah, but the thing about it, again, like, is the league is the league, right? I think some things are gonna be bound to happen no matter what for whomever. And when people make trades, some making them for now, some making them for later, right? And so it all depends on the perspective of who's making those decisions. On my end, that's not my role. It's not my job. I can't decide when a team should feel like they want to be committed to a certain, level of winning, right? And then, there's entertainment in our sport. You have a lot of layers to the business of basketball from the organization side mainly, right? And so you have to replenish it in a lot of ways. And, the initial shock of it is what it is. No one wants to feel like they're not wanted. Some of it carries, kind of carries on. But I always try to tell my guys, just put it behind you and move. There's only 30 teams, by the way.
But what if in a situation like Dodgers Connect and Mark Williams, where that shit don't like
who what?
All right, so this is the part where they start to veer a little off.
Mark Williams and Dodgers Connect.
Like, look, I think.
Yeah, so that was Rich Paul. He basically gave that's his reaction to the Luka AD trade. But I basically wanted to highlight to you guys that, like this is one of those trades where it's just one of those things where people had to keep it under wraps for it to come to fruition, and here we are. Luka's a Laker, and Anthony Davis is a Mav, albeit he's injured, but yeah, man. But let me know what you guys think about this topic. This has been another episode of Be About Unlocked TV. As always, I'm out.